They say that the ultimate goal of life is if you've got three circles: what you love, what you're good at, and what you know. So you've got knowledge, skill, and love, okay? Where those three circles intersect, that's your sweet spot of your life, okay?
Welcome to the Wise Traditions Podcast, sponsored by the Weston A. Price Foundation for wise traditions in food, farming, and the healing arts. We're your source for scientific knowledge and traditional wisdom to help you achieve optimal health.
Hey guys, I'm Hilda Labrada Gore, and this is episode 180. Our guest today is probably the most well-known farmer in the world. This is not hyperbole. Joel Salatin was featured in Michael Pollan's Omnivore's Dilemma and in the award-winning documentary Food, Inc. For decades, Joel has been at the forefront of the regenerative farming movement. He is a popular speaker, the author of 12 books and counting, and the farmer who runs Polyface Farm in Swoop, Virginia. When he's not on the road speaking, he's at home on the farm, keeping the calluses on his hands and dirt under his fingernails, mentoring young people, inspiring visitors, and promoting local regenerative food and farming systems. This is where I encountered Joel at Polyface, and it's where I asked him to tell all. In today's episode, we see a seldom seen side of the man. Joel gets really real with us, imparting wisdom and truth left and right. He tells us about the challenges and joys of aging, the blessing in disguise that set his life's trajectory, advice for how to keep a business going strong, and his biggest regret. Before we dive into the conversation, we want to give a quick shout out to our sponsors, Ancestral Supplements, putting back in what the modern world has left out: New Zealand sourced liver, organ meats, and bone marrow in convenient gelatin capsules. Our family loves these supplements. Order yours today at ancestralsupplements.com. And hey, mark your calendar for our Wise Traditions Conference November 15th to the 17th, including a farm tour on the 18th. It's right outside of Dallas, Texas. There'll be great nutrient-dense food as always, stellar speakers, and lots of opportunities for connecting. More details are coming soon. For now, just plan to join us. This is Holistic Hilda, and you're listening to Wise Traditions. Joel, thank you for having us here at your farm.
Thanks for coming. It's always a delight to have anybody come.
So welcome to Wise Traditions.
Thanks for having me.
Now listen, I want to get to know you better. I want to know what's really on your heart. I want to know what makes Joel Salatin tick. Let's just start with, what's your biggest regret?
Well, the biggest regret, most people would say, well, I married the wrong woman or something, but I didn't, So Teresa and I have been happily married for almost 40 years. Probably for me, the biggest regret was that early on I didn't develop a team as early as I should have. Like most farmers, we're all a bunch of independent hermit curmudgeons, right? I'm going to do it my way. I don't want anybody else around. And we never, I don't think that we appreciate the value of a team like we should early enough. We're independent entrepreneurs. We're doing our thing. But the fact is we're doing a lot of things poorly that we're not good at. And so now when I do, my farming seminars, I really push this collaboration. Get collaborators. They're not employees, but build your web of collaboration. And look, if you're going to go through hardship, and you will, everybody will go through hardship, who wants to do it alone? Don't you want to do it holding hands with somebody? And so that's the idea of building teams. So we've now, over the years, we've got this wonderful kind of, there's 20 people that earn their living from the farm now. And nobody is an hourly employee. We're all, commission-based, performance-oriented salary with commission bonuses. So everybody's got an incentives to bring their own talents to the table and not just put in time. And man, at this stage of my life, being surrounded by all this youthful enthusiasm, what a way to grow old. It's just, it keeps you young. It keeps you excited and enthusiastic about things.
Not to mention that you get more work done, right?
You sure do get more work done. When you look at historical societies, throughout history, tribes, the way tribes accumulated wealth traditionally was to leverage patriarchal and matriarchal experience on youthful energy. Because through life, your energy does wane. At 60, you don't have the same sap and vigor, right, that you had at 20. But people that are 60 who say they want to go back to 20, they all want to go back to the physical 20, but not the experiential 20. Nobody wants to go back. So you can't have both. It takes time to develop the experience. And so in ancient cultures, the way a tribe accumulated wealth was the matriarch and patriarch were able to remember, this is where the reindeer, they rode out that blizzard, in whatever year. It's always warm in that little cove, or, there's always water over that hill right there. And so they didn't go get the water or take the reindeer to the cove, but they knew where it was experientially, and they leveraged that youthful energy. So today, Teresa and I, with our years of experience, are able to leverage that experience on this youthful vitality here. And man, talk about leverage. I just say, hey, let's go, move this wood. And I know which wood it should be, where it should go, and they can move it.
That's awesome. So going back to that initial regret, when was the aha moment that you're like, okay, this didn't work out, I need a team?
Yeah, I would say for me initially it was mechanical stuff. Now I weld, I do some stuff, but I'm not a mechanics mechanic, and I can't design. I'm not an engineer. I'm definitely not an engineer. And so early on, when we needed, for example, some like water switches where we could put a float valve and run it on a battery for a cow tank. I'm thinking of butchering chickens. We needed a way so that we could eliminate a person sitting there dunking the chickens up and down in the scald water. Automate that. So some of the initial stuff, electronic switches, engineer design, we basically used friends that we knew in church and a community, and traded chickens or turkey or whatever, and would kind of trade out to get expertise from friends. And they were things that I couldn't do. I just couldn't do. And the fact is that all the gifts and talents to run a successful outfit don't grow on the same pair of legs. So you need another pair of legs, sometimes 3 or 4 pairs of legs. But the problem is, we farmers are, we tend to be pretty stubborn, and we're self-made, right? And building relationships is not our forte. Most farmers actually don't like people. That's why they're farmers, they don't like people. And so I'm big on don't be stubborn that way, because you'll end up getting frustrated trying to do things in which you're weak, instead of finding the person that's strong in that area so you can leverage where you're strong. The whole strengths finder idea is, don't try to fix all your weaknesses. Instead, find partners to do your weaknesses, and you leverage your strengths. That's a revolutionary concept for self-made entrepreneur farmer types.
I love it, and I think that's a word for all of us. I love that. What'd you say? It's not this one wheelhouse for the same pair of legs, or how'd you put that?
No, well, all the gifts and talents for a successful outfit, whether it's a for-profit, whatever it is, all the successful gifts and talents don't grow on the same pair of legs.
Okay, so that collaborative thing is something that you realized, oh man, I need that. I need this team, and you've obviously enjoyed that. What else are you loving about what's happening here on Polyface?
Well, yeah, that's certainly one of the things I'm loving is being surrounded by youth, by young people. It just makes things go easier, more efficient. I'm just amazed at how much work we can get done in a day, because I'm able to direct the traffic, but I don't have to do all the driving. That's really cool. So you've got all this energy driving, and I'm just this kind of orchestra conductor, and actually now I've actually moved out of day-to-day operations. That's now gone to Daniel, our son, who's doing the day-to-day operations. So we've actually carved out, roles and responsibilities for all of us, so we don't have redundancy, overlap, or get in each other's space. So now we can actually make numerous decisions throughout a day, and they don't have to come to the committee, And that takes a lot of trust. I think that if I could, if I could say what's so enjoyable for me now, there's a business triangle called the Gibbs Triangle. It doesn't have anything to do with NCIS, but it's the Gibbs Triangle. And on the bottom is trust, and on the top is control. In between is communication and objectives or goals. So you've got trust on the bottom, communication, goals, and then control at the top. And in a proper environment, what you want is a great big foundation of trust, which means you don't have to spend much time at control. Too many of us are inverted. We spend all our time micromanaging and controlling because we haven't communicated our objectives clear enough to build a broad base of trust. And so one of the things that where I am at my place, in the last 6 weeks, I've read like 4 life-changing business leadership books. One is Talk Triggers. One is So What's Next? It's about when you grow, when you have your business, and then you need to change for your next iteration, whatever that is. And so I'm in that place now where I'm not the guy out moving all the shelters anymore. I'm not toting all the boxes anymore. My responsibility is to inspire people to want to move those boxes and gut those chickens and that stuff that I used to do. I still do it, and I love it, but my role has changed, and a lot of businesses falter at that level because we don't know what's next. We've been successful here at this point. Now what's next? And another one I've just finished is The One Thing, and it's a fantastic book about choice and how multitasking is a myth. Making lists is good, but you can't do everything at once. And so it's all about how to laser focus you into being able to determine the weak link. The hardest thing that anybody does, all of us, the hardest thing we have to do is make a decision. That's the hardest thing in life. And so as things get complicated and Amazon moves in and brick and mortar stores go out, social media comes up, and those of us that are over the hill and old, didn't grow up this way, we just have more and more challenges, don't we, on how to be relevant, how to interface with this. Sherry, my daughter-in-law, gets toilet paper by a subscription service. It comes on her doorstep every month, and Teresa and I are saying, "What? You can't buy toilet paper at the supermarket? Really? No, I don't even have to order it. It comes every month." Boom. And so as they say, times they are changing, and this business axiom that what got you here won't get you there is just a profound idea. As I look back on this little thing that Teresa and I built with a Kodak carousel going to Kiwanis and Ruritan clubs 40 years ago, now those clubs hardly even exist. And all that conversation is occurring on social media and Facebook that we're not even members of. And so how do you adapt? One of my favorite phrases is now, nostalgia is great as long as you leave it one day before obsolescence. And that's the struggle, isn't it?
Yeah.
To stay relevant in such an incredibly changing climate, a changing world. And how do you stay relevant as a business? How does your messaging stay relevant? We have this slogan, healing the land one bite at a time. Because what floats your boat? When people ask me what floats my boat, what floats my boat is massaging a piece of land and watching it heal. The earthworms grow, the organic matter goes, the fertility comes up. That just does it for me, okay? And so we have this slogan, healing the land one bite at a time. And we just had this guru, millennium marketer guy tell us that's a stupid slogan. Nobody knows what the land is anymore. What is the land?
Oh my gosh. Wow.
And I'm, whoa. Am I that far out of stuff? And so anyway, that's one reason to be surrounded by young people, right, so that you don't become obsolete, so that I can leverage my experience and whatever command of the language, if you will, with relevancy.
And it sounds like You were fighting obsolescence by taking in more information and figuring out what's happening now so that we can bring this message.
Right. That's exactly right. We as any business, one of the business axioms is every business has to reinvent itself every 10 years. I mean, that's how often things kind of, especially today. I mean, think of 10 years ago, where, how different smartphones and apps and all that was just 10 years ago. And so you have to reinvent your messaging. I mean, 20 years ago when we started these metropolitan buying clubs, these were kind of urban drop points, okay? And we thought, man, we were on the cutting edge. There was nobody doing this. I mean, everybody was, how do you do that? That was cutting edge stuff. Now we're starting to be concerned, well, so the next iteration is door-to-door delivery. So how do we do that? And that's the thing. These things change over time. The older you get, the harder it is to change, because change is threatening. We haven't been here. And you know what? The reason it's so threatening is because you start having less physical, mental, and emotional energy to pick yourself up from failure. And so that's why CEOs get pushed out in their 50s and 60s. Why? Because as you get older, you become more reluctant to be innovative, because innovation's scary.
You're more risk averse, right?
Exactly.
Talk to us about one of the risks you took as a young buck that you might not have taken if you had been older.
Probably one of the risks I took was moving. We ran a walnut buying station. In fact, that's when I originally made the break to the farm, was running this walnut buying station, and we made the change. When it started, and we did not run it. It was running in at the local Southern States dealer in town. And we wanted to bring it out to the farm, because we were running it primarily to get the walnut hulls as organic matter. That was mainly what we were running it for. And so we were spending a lot of time. We didn't have a front end loader at the time. So we were spending a lot of time shoveling and bringing all these hulls, hundreds of tons of hulls home. And I dug my heels in and said, well, we will do it. We'd run it in there a couple of years very successfully. And then finally I said, you know what? We're not going to do this unless we come to the farm. We're just not going to do it. And at the time, it was a significant portion of fertility for us with all the biomass. It was some income. And it was a nice, we only did it 1 month of the year in October, but it was a good thing. And because I was young, I was able to say, you know what, if you don't want to come and we lose this, I can make it up cutting firewood. I can make it up doing another batch of chickens and selling it, because I know I can sell those. I can do some other things. And I knew that I could replace that lost income. I can chip more. I can do more things. If I had been older, I wouldn't have been as... I could not have foreseen the ability to, just with working harder at working a little different, I would be able to replace that income. And so that youthfulness gave me flexibility to say, I can do something else.
Coming up, Joel talks about a valuable lesson he learned as a young man in junior high that helped shape the life he has today. He also tells us how he got discovered, quote unquote, and he gives us his recipe for finding our sweet spot in life.
You're listening to the Wise Traditions Podcast, sponsored by the Weston A. Price Foundation. We pause now to recognize our sponsors.
Mountain Rose Herbs. They offer high-quality, organically grown herbs, spices, teas, and botanical goods. They are big on the things that we all care about: quality. Their products are certified organic, vibrant, tasty, and proven safe. Responsible sourcing from organic farmers and wild harvesters is another value that they have. And they offer a variety of products, including essential oils, candles, soaps, and more. Plus, they've earned a zero waste certification in Oregon. So go to Mountain Rose Herbs at mountainroseherbs.com and place an order today. And get 10% off at checkout with the coupon code WAPF. And that is good through the end of the year. That's mountainroseherbs.com. and Living Collagen by Ancestral Supplements. Ancestral Supplements offer New Zealand-sourced, nose-to-tail organ meats, bone marrow, and living collagen, and simple, convenient gelatin capsules. Traditional peoples and early ancestral healers believed that eating the organs from a healthy animal would strengthen and support the health of the corresponding organ of the individual. For instance, the traditional way of treating a person with a weak heart was to feed the person the heart of a healthy animal. Similarly, concentrated amounts of cartilage-derived collagen were believed to support joints, bones, cartilage and skin, hair, and nail health. Grass-fed living collagen retains bioactive growth factors that are otherwise absent in the modern world. Visit ancestralsupplements.com to see what they can do for you. Ancestral Supplements, putting back in what the modern world has left out. This is Holistic Hilda, and you're listening to Wise Traditions. And was it risky for you to write your books or to get started as an author?
We literally backed into the books. So realized that during my junior and senior years of high school, I was the obituary police report reporter at the local newspaper. And I had a flair for writing. I mean, I would enter these essay contests in school, and all this. I never entered one through high school or college that I didn't win. I'm not saying that proud. I'm just saying I had this gift. I knew I had this talent for writing and for communicating. I was in theater, drama through school. I didn't do sports. When you talk about serendipity is the best thing that happened. The best thing that ever happened to me was being cut from the 7th grade baseball team and the 8th grade basketball team. When I got cut from tryouts of those two teams, I was emotionally devastated. But instead of being depressed, I said, you know what? Then I'm going to do something else. And I went totally into communication, speaking, debate, drama, theater. Man, am I glad I do that. So I tell young people today, hey, if you get cut from something, you don't get into something, don't be upset about that. View it as, okay, well, I'm not good at that. What am I good at? And use it as a catalyst to supercharge you into laser focusing what you are good at. And I'm so thankful that happened to me, because it changed, it pushed me into a place where I could perform, I could compete, I could be number one. And I think that's a good thing. And learning that early was good, was a very valuable lesson. So anyway, I had this flair for communication. And so when we came back to the farm full time, September 24, 1982, I was actually working at the newspaper that I'd worked at in high school and farming part time. And I came back to the farm, started down this path, and we were successful. It was tough. We were successful. And within 5 or 6 years, we started getting some notoriety. The local newspaper did articles. We had press, we had radio, TV, things started, because there's this non-wealthy farm couple making a living on this little worn out place. And of course it was the pastured chickens, the cows moved. It was beautiful, and of course, made pretty pictures. And so then we got discovered, is what I'm getting at. We got discovered, and suddenly people started calling. I mean, I'd come in and every night I'd have calls. How do you make that chicken shelter? How do you do this? How do you do this? And finally, my mentor, Alan Nation, who had founded the Stockman Grass Farmer magazine, who basically introduced me to the world, he said, yeah, you ought to write something. You ought to get this. And I was writing a column for Stockman Grass Farmer at the time. And I told Teresa, I said, I can't come in here and have 6 phone calls every night telling people how to do this. So we'll write a little manual. So in 1991, we did a little Xerox pastured poultry manual and sold it through Stockman Grass Farmer magazine. I wrote it on my Olivetti typewriter. This is long before computers and all that. And in that first year, we sold 1,000 of them. And I told Teresa, this will keep the phone from ringing. People won't ask us anymore. Now we can just say, buy this and go. But what it did, it showed us, wow, there's money in information. There, and it showed how hungry people were for information. And so then in 93, we did Pastured Poultry Profits. Alan said, okay, now you've proven to yourself, you see that it can work. Now do a real book. Forget the manual, do a book. And so he and Carolyn, his wife, mentored me into self-publishing and how to do this. We did the book. And
what was the first one called?
Pastured Poultry Profits.
Okay.
That was the first one. That was in 93. Okay. And it's hard to believe, 93, that's whatever it is, 26 years. Anyway, it's been a long time. And then 2 years later, well, then that satisfied the poultry people. And then we started all the beef people. Well, how do you do this grass-finished beef? You mean you sell beef without any grain? How's that possible? So then we did salad. I had invented the term salad bar beef to try to, explain this, this idea of the diversity of pasture, freshness, moving them all the time, blah, blah, blah. And salad bars were just coming into vogue in restaurants, right? So that was the deal. So in 95, we did salad bar beef. And ever since, I've always written look, I'm an idea marketer. Okay, I'm an idea marketer. So I'm constantly listening. What are people asking? What do they need? What does the culture need? I'm not writing to make money. I'm writing to satisfy what I feel is the hunger of the culture at the time. And so then 2 years later, people got the poultry, the beef. They're saying, okay, but I don't have chickens and cows. I just want to know how to do farming. So then I did You Can Farm. That's my bestseller. That's my big one. You Can Farm. And then, well, how do I get my kids to enjoy farming with me? So then I did Family Friendly Farming. But everything was just as a result of ear to the ground, listening to the chatter and what will help people. How can I help people through this? And so now we're 12 books later, and here we are.
Are you working on another one?
Oh, yeah, always working on a book. I'm working on 2 right now. One is Designs of Polyface. We have so many people wanting, how do you build a gobbledygook? How do you build an eggmobile? How do you. And so, fortunately, we had an apprentice a couple of years ago who's a crackerjack engineer, knows how to do all this engineering CAD design software stuff. So he and I are collaborating on a book. I'll do the text. He'll do all the drawings of polyface designs, how to do all this mobile pasture-based livestock infrastructure. And then I'm working on another one with Dr. Sina McCullough, who wrote the book Hands Off My Food. She's this PhD biochemist who practically died eating the standard American diet, even though she was a biochemist PhD with an accent in nutrition. And she basically was so sick she couldn't even get up off the floor. And so she finally realized, you know what? I can't wait for the doctors to heal me. I can't wait for a government agency to tell me what to eat. I'll have to figure this out. And so she took her training. And of course, the next thing you know, she's into bone broth and traditional diets, all this stuff. But her story is, and now she's, a vibrant. She's like all the Weston A. Price people, she's just totally beautiful and vibrant and zest of life. And it's a profound story and just a remarkable journey. And so we're working on a book together, kind of the biochemist and the farmer. And it's a dialogue book. And what we're doing is we're taking people that start at the gas station eating food and taking them by the hand through the book. So at the end, they're eating their food and preparing their food themselves. And it's a dialogue format. So Sina Joel, Sina Joel, Sina Joel. And so all these things are basically a dialogue format between the biochemist and the farmer. So I can bring about how to make good eggs from a farmer's perspective in a pasture-based, and she's talking about the nutritional components of yolks and whites and what that does nutritionally in omega-3, omega-6 and all that. And so anyway, we're excited about that.
It sounds like that's what people are really hungry for. They want to connect with their food again, but they also, this is the information age, right? They really want to know what's in this egg, it's good for me, and what will it do for my body?
Listen, we are so over-sophisticated in our culture today. We're so over-sophisticated. I mean, you can't work on your car. You can't work on your computer. You can't work on your blender. You can't work on your washing machine. They've got full of microchips, right? I mean, so what this techno glitzy time has done to us. We've done all this supposedly to save time and make life easier. What it's done, it has completely disempowered us from feeling like we can do anything ourselves. And so we are now in the coaching era. Everybody's got you've got a wellness coach, you got an investment coach, you got a coach for your kids, you've got an entertainment coach, you've got a vacation coach, right? We got investment coach, we got a coach for everything. Why? I think it's because two things. One is this technical, the specialization, yes, has made us disempowered from feeling like we've got control of anything. That's one. And the second thing is the paradox of choice. There's a book out, Paradox of Choice, and it basically says no civilization has ever had as many choices as we've had. Not just to work where you want, but women to work where they want. The whole sexual revolution and the whole empowerment of that. And so we have so much choice. Well, the problem is we say we want choice, but there's a point at which you can have so much choice it becomes paralyzing. And so what? So Teresa and I, we're thinking, would we really want, dinner in a box, Blue Apron, Martha Stewart, dinner? Why? No, we go to the pantry, what's in there, we go to the freezer, what's in there, and we fix what we've saved, what we've canned, what we've frozen, what we've dehydrated, what's available in the garden, what do we got? What do we got extra of? That's how we eat and how we cook. We don't want somebody telling us what to have for supper. But you know what? A lot of people want somebody to tell them what to eat for supper, because if they don't have to make that decision, they can make the decision on which video game to play or which social media to get on for the evening, because they don't have to make the decision about what to eat. And so this whole paradox of choice is a big deal. So I think the technical aspect of our culture, and then this plethora of choice that each of us is besieged with every day, those two things have actually reduced our capacity to feel confident at making decisions, doing new things, trying new stuff. We're disempowered of it.
Well, you seem to be the epitome of the other way. In other words, you've made some choices, you're sticking by them. If you had your druthers, would you choose to do this all over again?
Oh my, I wouldn't change anything. No, I'm having the time of my life. They say that the ultimate goal of life is, if you've got three circles, what you love, what you're good at, and what you know. So you've got knowledge, skill, and love, okay? Where those three circles intersect, that's your sweet spot of your life, okay? And most of us, I would say that most of us don't even have enough confidence to dream anymore. We've done what our parents said, we've done what the school teacher said, we've done what the professor said, we've done what the employer said, to where we're afraid actually to dream of where that sweet spot is for me. Just with unfettered, nobody telling me what to do, right? And so one of the secrets of life is to spend more and more time in that little space of that confluence of what you love, skill, and know. More time in that, so that when you wake up in the morning, you can have that thought in the morning, you know what? I don't have to do anything today that I don't like to do. And I'm in that space. And it's so cool.
I can see it all over your face. That is awesome. Now we're going to call this episode Joel Salatin Tells All. So I want to conclude with this question. Tell us something that not many people know about you. Some little part of you, part of your heart that we may not know.
That we may not know. Well, my food weakness is ice cream. And so yeah, I love the ice cream. I think maybe something that people may not know is that part of what drives me is being able to recreate the abundance that I experienced as a little child on my grandfather's farm. We had moved to this farm. It was an old Virginia farm, gullies, rocks, weeds, hard clay soil, clumps. It was not good. My grandfather in Indiana was a master gardener, and he had this huge garden, like a quarter acre, which is a big garden, surrounded by T-top, grapevines. We could never go up and visit him in Indiana except at the end of the season. So grapes were always ripe. As a little child, just walking under that grape arbor, and he had berries and compost piles and chickens, and it was this little quarter acre of just a nest of abundance. And one of the joys, one of the things that has always driven me is to recreate that here, emotionally, spiritually, and then to share that with others so that others can leave here knowing, this isn't a scarce place. Our home is not a scarce, deficit place. It's actually a place of abundance and longevity and healing and strength. And that's what I want people to see here as they leave. And in my deepest, most intimate thoughts, that's why I move cows. That's why I talk to people.
Well, thank you for talking with us today. Really appreciate it, Joel.
Thank you for having me. It's always a delight.
Our guest today was Joel Salatin of Polyface Farms. Subscribe to his blog at thelunaticfarmer.com. And I'm Holistic Hilda, the host and producer of the show. Follow me on Instagram at Holistic Hilda. And for the complete show notes for this and all podcast episodes, just go to our website, westinaprice.org. So that's it. Let's keep in touch, everybody, and see you next time.
Thanks for listening today. We have all kinds of resources to support you on your health journey. On the Weston A. Price Foundation website, you'll find podcasts, blogs, articles, and brochures related to just about any health topic you can imagine. You can also find a local chapter to help you discover sources of real, organic food in your area. And you can become a member to support the Foundation's mission of education, research, and activism. Visit westonaprice.org for all this and more. And remember that the Wise Traditions podcast is available on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. Wise Traditions is a project of the Weston A. Price Foundation for wise traditions in food, farming, and the healing arts. The content on this podcast is provided for informational purposes only and is not intended to substitute for the advice provided by your doctor or healthcare professional. It is not intended to be, nor does it constitute healthcare or medical advice.